Good morning and welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is your 5 things we learned from the West Ham 1 Chelsea 1 draw. You've had some time to compute it overnight. Let's get into it and show us the 5 things that we learned from this game, of course, against Chelsea. Now, we turned up and possibly you could have said we were the underdogs going into this game, especially after the fact that Chelsea are the billionaires who have been spending a absolute fortune in the transfer window in comparison to West Ham's mini budget, you could say. But we did have to work hard in this game in order to get a draw. We went 1-0 down, but we did concede 2 other goals, which were disallowed thanks to offsides. And again, also West Ham did escape at the end of the game without giving away a penalty, thanks to Tommy Suchek's fantastic save with his hand. So we did walk away with that point, but we have also suffered a couple of injuries as we get into it. Anyway, the first point I want to talk to you about is Thilo Kehrer can play. The German international has been in a lot of West Ham fans' voices at the end of their tongue and has been slated quite a lot throughout the season. But for me, if I'm being brutally honest with you, I actually thought this was one of his better games, if not his best game in the Claret and Blue of West Ham. He had to deputise in the central defensive position on the right-hand side of Ogbonna, where, of course, Aguerd takes on the left-hand side. Now, what we do know about Kehrer is that he has got some pace to him as well, which will benefit the likes of Vladimir Soufal, who does play out on the right side. Early on, they definitely tried their best to cause West Ham problems in the defence. That is Chelsea playing the ball, penetrating our defence. But to be fair, it wasn't really Thilo Kehrer that was the problem. It was actually Ogbonna and Aguerd's side that was really having an issue, and we could not deal with the through penetration balls. I mean, Kehrer walked out with 90 minutes played in the full game. He had 5 clearances, 1 interception, 2 successful tackles. He won 60% of his ground duels. He only lost possession 4 times in the game. He made 5 fouls. He had 40 touches. He had an 88% pass succession complete rate. He had 1 out of 3 attempts long ball accuracy, and he had 100% dribble success. So good day at the office for Thilo Kehrer, especially if we are going to have some injuries. We need all players firing on all cylinders within the squad. So that is one of our positives. Next up, though, is the Emerson consistency. Emerson Palmieri has found himself catapulted into the West Ham side. And to be fair to the geezer, he's stepping up. Now, I thought he had a little bit of a quiet first half. Essentially, he wasn't, that was all Chelsea and they were penetrating our area, but it wasn't really him. He was finding himself getting into good space going forward. He was having a nice bit of link-up play between him and Benrahma. Benrahma, of course, was quiet, but Palmieri did, and rightly so, deserved to get a goal, because the good thing about what Palmieri does is he gets forward and he's not scared to get forward, but he's got the pace to get back, something that we have missed for such a long time, and that is a positive. So it's a positive to see someone else getting bled into the team, and who is capable of potentially taking that position and making that position his own. Of course, he had got himself a goal as well. He played 90 minutes, got 1 goal. He had 42 touches, 74% pass completion rate. He was accurate with 100% of his balls. He won over 75% of his ground duels. He won 100% of his aerial duels as well. He made 4 tackles and 4 clearances in the game, and of course ended the game with a goal against his old club. There's your second point of the day. The third point I should say is the lack of depth. Now in the game, what we saw, which was very unfortunate, was Paqueta walking off the field after picking up an injury. He landed on his right shoulder, which could be a reoccurrence of the issue that he had earlier in the season when we played Southampton, and he was missing for several weeks, which is going to be disappointing because we've seen him step up to the plate as of late, and we know that what he is capable of doing in the middle of the park. However, what's interesting is that maybe that's decision when he came off, because we tried to play him on, but maybe we had to pack that midfield out because Chelsea were getting a lot of success through the middle of the park. Not that I'm necessarily blaming Paqueta or Rice for that, but they were getting a lot of success through that, and that then forced our hand to bring Tommy Soucek on the field. And on top of that, we had Naif Aguerd go down near the end of the game, holding what we thought initially was his hamstring, but eventually being his groin. Now, the one thing you can say is Aguerd did come off the field and went straight onto the bench, so hopefully it's not as bad as first feared, but we will have to wait and see, and we're all, as West Ham fans, praying that these two potential injuries won't be long-term. But this shows how very quickly things can change, and people weren't impressed with our bench and the lack of depth on our bench, especially now for the fact this is where you see Craig Dawson playing for Wolves every single game, stepping up to the plate every single game. Coincidentally, he's played 2 games for them and they've won 2 games on the bounce. And now we desperately need centre halves and we don't have them available, which is going to be disappointing. But hopefully Thilo Kehrer, and Naif Aguerd and Paqueta don't, and it's not that bad, and they can step into the equation moving forward. Next up is scoring is a problem. It's not defence that's our issue. It is absolutely going up top of the field. Here's an interesting stat for you. West Ham are 5th in the table for goals, 5th in the table for not as many goals conceded. So we don't concede goals. We're 5th in the table for the least amount of goals conceded in the Premier League. But here's another interesting stat for you. We're 5th in the table for the amount of lack of goals that we score. We don't score that many. So we are 5th in the table behind some of the other clubs for the least amount of goals scored. So we're 5th in both sides of the park. One side is good, which is defence, and the other side going up top is the problem. We are still, again, creating chances, but we've not got that clinical finishing, and we need the points. I respect the point, but we need the points. That's what we absolutely need. Now, we have got Danny Ings playing off the bench. We've got Scamacca hopefully coming back for the Tottenham game. We've got Antonio, who I thought had a good game himself today, but we definitely lack that Scamacca-ish type of player. I felt like if you could have caused them problems today at Chelsea in the defence when we did get forward. And, of course, on top of that, we've got Benrahma, who, for me, was really lightweight today and really struggled in the game. And that is and causes me and West Ham a dilemma in the game as well. I think there was a crazy stat showing that he only touched the ball 8 times in the first half, and in the second half when he was substituted 10 times, 18 times in total. He made some good positioning, but he lost nearly 90% of his ground duels in the game from 7 attempts. He did lose the ball 5 times from his 18 touches as well, but he just had no finished article, which was a big frustration. So we'll have to see what happens when it comes to Benrahma. Last but not least, we miss Pablo Fornals. That takes me nicely on to the Pablo Fornals situation. We miss his tenacious tracking back, getting forward, being as creative. This is why I've brought a picture up of Benrahma, because moving forward into the Tottenham game, I feel like Pablo will have to step in instead of Benrahma. It is, I want Benrahma to succeed at West Ham. I really do, but do you know what? It's been a bit unfair on Pablo. I think Pablo's stepped up to the plate. He showed West Ham fans what he is capable of doing, especially before the international break, the World Cup break, and during it when we played a few friendlies. It was harsh sometimes that he wasn't playing in the games, but he is that tenacious midfielder that I think we lacked, and that could have given us a little bit of firing power going forward, but also that nitty-gritty tackler in the middle of the park. There's your 5 things that we learned for the game against Chelsea. Leave your comments in, hit your thumbs up, please. If you've enjoyed that, hit the subscribe button. And yeah, take it easy, and we'll see you over today, because there'll be more content coming for you. Come on, you Irons.